Good evening, Mr. President, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guest. In college, I studied art and art history, and I love the art of classical Rome and Greece and the Renaissance art. And when I was 54, I took early retirement and decided to move to Rome, Italy, to experience the art firsthand that I loved so much. I had a friend, an art teacher, who had spent a summer in Rome, and he knew of an apartment. It was rented by foreigners, and they rented out rooms to other people. There was a spare bedroom. So with a leap of faith and a great exchange rate between what was then the lira and the US dollar, I moved to Rome to live with a young woman from Belgium and a man from France, Paris, whom I had never met before. And I knew one word of Italian, ciao. First, I want to say a little bit about Rome. It is an ancient city. It's 2,000 years old. And there were floods and fires and wars, and the ancient structures were overtopped by medieval structures, and then by the Renaissance and the Baroque, and finally the modern. And you can look at a building, and you can identify the ages, but it's more than that. The ancient has blended with the new, and Rome is the essence of all of it. It is a union of 2 millennia of continuously living history. Today, it's a noisy city. There's hustle and bustle and horrible traffic, and the motorcycles scream through the streets, and they barely miss the pedestrians. And in one moment, I fear for my life to cross the street, and in the next, I look up, and I see such spectacular beauty that it boggles my mind. And it is so monumental that it's overpowering. The ancient Romans were master builders and engineers, and they built aqueducts that fed the city of Rome for 2,000 years with fresh water. And today, the city has fountains all over with freely running water, delicious water. And there are literally hundreds of gorgeous churches and cathedrals throughout the city. And one of my favorites, it's hard to pick a favorite, is called Santa Maria sopra Minerva. And it's a strange name. And what it means is the Church of St. Mary built over the Temple of Minerva. Rome is a coalescence of its living history. And time can disappear, and beginnings and endings blend and flow one into the next, and one becomes mindful that there is no time. And everywhere you look is art and beauty. The ancient Romans conquered the world through brilliant military campaigns, and their warriors were fearsome. And today, the Romans, I Romani, what are they like? They are still fearless, and they have little empathy for fear. When I moved to Rome, I was a polite and timid foreigner, and I was afraid to do anything inappropriate. I would go into a cafe to get coffee, and people would come in behind me and rush and put their orders ahead of me, and I'd be there not knowing what happened. On the subway, I was being polite, and they would push in front of me and behind of me and yell at me because I wasn't moving, and I'd be pushed at both ends. I didn't speak any Italian. I didn't know how to ask directions. I carried my address with me because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to find my way back to my apartment. Most of the street names in Rome are very long. Giuseppe, Mario, Cesare, whatever. And they change every few blocks, so the map that you look at does not necessarily match the street that you're looking at. And for a long while, I was like a scared child. So I decided that my first priority was to learn the language. And I studied Italian. And I studied Italian. And I worked really hard at it. And I grew to love the language, and I grew to love its sound and its rhythm. And I learned to get around, and I learned how to find my way, and I learned to take the trains and the buses. And I learned how to push on the metro and shout my order at the cafe. I lived in Rome for 8 months, and I made wonderful friends who shared their lives with me. Dinners with friends would last for hours, and there was always laughter and singing. And every Italian I know, he's got to be related or she to Pavarotti. That is how beautiful their singing voices are. Italians love to cook. They love to sing. They adore their families, and they spoil their pets. They seem fearless, and somehow they know how to take the joy, how to extract the joy from life and live it in the moment. I had fallen in love with Rome. And when I was leaving and I said my goodbyes, my friends sang to me outside on the street. They sang in unison, "Arrivederci Roma, come back to see us in Rome." And I tossed all my lira behind me into Trevi Fountain and asked the fates to ensure my return. I was no longer scared. I was not that timid little girl who had come. I had been transformed. I had let go of my fears. I was free. I was free to choose the joy in life and to live it. I was free to see life's humor and laugh at its inconsistencies and idiosyncrasies. I was free to be me.